make an announcement. Everybody will come running in. Watch. You're better like this. Good afternoon once again. We're joined by Purdue student athletes Ryan Klein and Carson Edwards. They're down here right now in the main interview room. Their teammates are available in the Purdue locker room for the next 30 minutes. Ryan and Carson are going to hang out with us in the main interview room for about 15 minutes. Then they're going to head back and join their teammates for more questions and answers in the locker room. And we'll be joined by head coach Matt Painter in about 15 minutes right down here in the main interview room. But once again, as mentioned, Ryan and Carson are joining us for the next 15 minutes or so, and they're ready to take your questions. If you have a question for Ryan or Carson, please raise your hand. We'll send our microphone attendant in your direction. Please remember your name and media outlet before you ask your question. Looking for the first question for the Purdue student athletes. Let's go toward the back on the left. Greg. Flip-flopping.
Greg Mengelt, CNHI. So what have you seen since the draw? What have you seen from Old Dominion that would concern you?
Let's start with Ryan and then go to Carson.
We obviously have three really good guards. They're 1 and 2, complement each other very well. But obviously from a guard defensive standpoint, we're going to have to do a good job tomorrow night.
Carson.
Yeah, just kind of following what he said. They have some guards that can do a lot, very versatile with scoring the ball, whether that's putting it on the floor, catch and shoot, and just kind of getting into the paint. So just being able to contain the dribble and kind of make it hard for them to contest their shots is what's mostly important for us.
Same area of the room, different Greg.
Yeah. For both of you, so Ryan, you first. Can you? I'm sorry, Greg Doyle at Indy Star. Can you talk about? Do you know who you'll be defending? Can you say out loud who you'll be defending?
I don't know if we can say that for sure, but what'd you say? No, I don't think so. Sorry.
Okay.
Do you want to make it just a general comment on what kind of defense you guys will need to play to be successful tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously going to have to keep them out of the paint, like Carson said. They like to get in the paint and feed their big guys down low. So as long as we keep them out of the paint and, just have them, shoot contested shots, I think we're going to be all right.
And Carson, we were just grilling you in Chicago about your back. Where's it? How do you feel now? What's the progress there?
I'm okay. I mean, just taking it day by day, just trying to get treatment, things like that. I don't want it to be like a big deal or anything. I'm fine. I just want to be able to help my team win.
Continuing with questions for student athletes from Purdue, Ryan and Carson. If you have a question, raise your hand. There's one on the right side. We'll use that right side microphone.
For either of you guys or both of you, Coach Painter talked earlier this week about how after a few down years earlier in the decade, you guys started having success when you started getting Purdue guys into the program. What is a Purdue guy, in your opinion? What defines a Purdue guy?
Ryan first, then Carson.
I just feel like, I think Grady Eifert's a really good example. He's just a blue-collar guy who's really had to earn his way, throughout his career at Purdue, and that came with a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication. I feel like that's kind of what Coach Payne has been recruited. Obviously, with some shooters, has done him pretty well too.
Carson.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of look at it as just kind of going off the people I'm around on the team. There's good guys around me that understand the game well, but then also are good guys off the floor and smart guys. With smart guys that know the game well, like I said, and are good dudes off the floor that are understanding. So I feel like that's a Purdue guy, in my opinion, going off the people that I play with and people I'm around.
Continuing with questions for these two Purdue guys. We have them for the next 10 or so minutes. Let's go back to Greg in the middle.
Yeah, coming into to this, you've lost 2 of your last 3 games. Any concern about the way you're playing, and what can you do to turn it in the right direction?
Right.
I mean, there's really no particular concern. I feel like we were in, those 2 losses that we had. There were just some things down the stretch that didn't go our way. I feel like we had some shots, or we had some chances, in those 2 games to win. So there are a couple of things that we needed to clean up, but we just need to get better at the things we're already good at.
Carson, anything to add there?
I mean, I guess I can kind of say what Ryan says, but at the same time, I kind of look at it as like it's a new season in a way, and just kind of just moving on and trying to focus on this game we have at hand tomorrow. But I mean, we take those mistakes and learn from them, from the games we've lost. I mean, even the last game we won, we still have mistakes. So we learn from every game, but also we kind of move forward and focus on this one game we have tomorrow night.
Continuing with questions for Ryan and Carson, if there are any, just raise your hand. Any further questions for the Purdue student athletes? Oh, we do have another. Craig.
Hey, and I need each of you to answer this because I know No Gel probably spends time on both of you guys despite your different builds. What is it like to get locked on with No Gel in practice, or what is it like to have him locked on to you when he's on defense?
Ryan first, please, then Carson.
I mean, obviously from an offensive standpoint, you know, when he's guarding you, it's very tough. He's just such a big guy for a point guard, and I mean, he moves like a point guard, but you know, he's got the body of a forward. So, I mean, obviously it's challenging. He's tough to stay in front of. He's quick. He's elusive, and he just knows how to play the game the right way, especially with his skill set.
Carson.
I feel like it makes it tough, especially with him being longer than me and a little bigger than me. So I feel like it makes it tough. But then also, he's a strong dude. He can move well. But I mean, I go at him too. But he's a strong dude. He moves well. He's athletic. It's a good build. So I mean, it's tough, and he makes it tough for a lot of people. So makes us better too. I'm sorry, makes us better.
Any additional questions for Ryan or Carson? All right, we want to thank Ryan and Carson for joining us here in the main interview room. They're going to head back to the locker room for some more availability with their teammates, and we'll get Coach Painter down here in just a few moments. Good afternoon once again. We're joined by Purdue head coach Matt Painter. Coach Painter and the Boilermakers are available for 15 more minutes. The student athletes are in the locker room until just about 3:45 p.m. And Coach Painter's with us for the next 15 minutes or so. We'll ask Coach to open things up with a few thoughts, and then we'll get to some questions.
Like everybody else, we're obviously really excited to play. I think it's different for each team, your experience, how you kind of finish the season. For us, we're able to finish the season by winning our league, but also get knocked out in the first round of our tournament by Minnesota in a close game. And you're just, anytime you lose a close game, and no matter what the circumstances are, you're really eager to get back on the court and play. So I know our guys are really looking forward to play, but we know we have a tough opponent in Old Dominion that's well coached, very talented guys, good size, good skill, very determined team that's got in a lot of close games and won a lot of close games. And so we know we're going to have our hands full, but we're really looking forward to playing tomorrow.
And sorry, I need to correct myself. The Purdue locker room's open until about 4 p.m. And the first question, go to the back right. Mike.
Thanks, Mark. Mike Abelson, New Hampshire Union leader. Matt, last year you make the Sweet 16. How is this year's team different from last year's squad, and how can it make a deeper run than last year's team?
Well, last year's team, we started off conference play 12-0, but we didn't win our league. This year we were probably picked 6th or 7th in our league and ended up being a co-champ with Michigan State. And so after losing 4 seniors and then being 6-5 this year at one point, our guys have really improved, and we've really gotten better, but we've had to define some roles, had a lot of guys that came off the bench for us last year that are now starting and doing some great things. We've been very consistent here the past couple months, but I definitely think the experiences for our guys in the past couple years going to back-to-back Sweet 16s, even though those guys didn't play maybe as big as roles outside of Carson Edwards, can help you. Anytime you can get into a lot of NCAA games, tournament games, I think it definitely helps you in your next tournament.
To the center of the room, and please your name and media outlet for the benefit of our TV audience.
Pat Eaton-Rob from the Associated Press. Matt, I know you're concentrating on your own team, but as a college basketball coach, can you address what Jeff Jones has done this year, going through what he's been through with the cancer and the idea of doing that and getting a team to the NCAA tournament?
Yeah. Well, obviously, when something like that happens, it puts everything in perspective. It lets you know that basketball is really not that important. And but obviously, you still doing your job. And so when you're battling and you're going through the daily regime that he has to go through to get healthy, the team and everybody around your team is your support system and helps you. And so obviously, you see through the highlights and what we were able to watch and just the emotion of it. And, I'm happy for him and, happy for, those guys. And so anytime you go through some adversity and then you're able to have some success, it makes it all worthwhile. For me, he recruited me many moons ago when he was an assistant at Virginia. And so obviously I watched him play when he was, at Virginia, and then to be able to get recruited by him. And but he's at every stop he's been, Virginia, American, and Old Dominion. His teams have been, very, very successful. And obviously he's, just a couple of wins away from 500. So you don't get to that, to that point in your career without being a successful coach. And for him, I think it's kind of twofold. He's a great guy and he's a great coach. I think his players would say the same thing.
On the right side toward the back.
Rebecca Schneider with the Purdue Exponent. When you were recruiting Aaron Wheeler, what differentiated him from someone who could jump out of the gym versus the Purdue guy that you previously alluded to?
Yeah. Well, the thing that jumped out, for Aaron, right away was his skill level. I thought he could make threes. And so that's something that I really tried to put an emphasis on for him. And then as you started to dig, as a person, we thought he really fit at Purdue. He was a good guy. He was a good student. But we thought he could be a really good piece for us. His length, his athleticism, and then his skill level. And we knew from a physical standpoint it might take a little bit of time, for him. He's right there wedged in between a couple spots as a small forward in kind of that face-up four. And so I think in time, as he keeps to improve, and he gets more of an opportunity. There's times that he doesn't get much of an opportunity for us. and I stick with some older guys. But I think as his career goes on and progresses, his improvement will definitely jump up, with more minutes and more opportunity. But he's been a really good fit for us.
Just to the left of the center aisle, Greg.
Greg Mengelt, CNHI Sports Indiana. When you talked to the media on Sunday, you said you didn't know much about Old Dominion. What have you learned since then? Particularly, what do their big men bring to what they do?
Well, I think they're a very tough, determined team. I think they're a very good defensive team. Obviously, Caver and Stith are good scorers. Caver's more of that lead guard that can break you down off the dribble, can make threes, can create his own shot. Stith can knock down threes, but also drive the ball, post the ball. Just a very versatile player. Then when you put those bigs in there to go along with Green, Green's really played well here. I know he only averages about 10 points, but he has that game about every fourth game where he really steps up and gives them that punch. But their size around the rim, whether it's their Robinson, the guy that starts for him, and really their three centers are all, guys that help them with their length and their athleticism. Their ability to block shots. I think that probably jumps out more than anything. I think it's going to be important for us to keep them off the glass. But I think that starts with containing the perimeter players that I talked about. If those guys are beating you off the dribble and making plays and getting to the rim, now you don't have great rebound balance. Now those guys get dump downs, they get dunks, they get offensive rebounds, and now Old Dominion's getting a little bit of everything. And when that happens, to go along with their great defense, that's how they beat teams. And the thing that really jumps out for me as a whole for Old Dominion really is their ability to get in close games and win close games. A lot of times, you're going to split close games. They seem to win 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4 when those games are close.
On the right side in the back, Mike.
Mike Abelson, New Hampshire Union leader. Matt, a few questions ago, Rebecca asked about Aaron Wheeler. He came out of Brewster Academy, the New England Prep League. What is it about that league that is just a cut above most other high school leagues in the country, and why does it produce so many elite high-level D1 players?
Well, obviously, it continues to grow just because kids want to be prepared, to play in college, and they're looking for every advantage they can get so they can play immediately in college. Some people look at it as being able to get through college quicker. Some other people look at it as, hey, I want to play immediately in college, so they want to put themselves in the best situation. So to be able to go to that league or, play in that league at a school like a Brewster definitely helps them. They get elite coaching, but it's also elite competition. A lot of times in the summer, you play elite competition in the summer, but the preparation isn't the same, because, not all AAU teams, you're going to be able to put in time because guys are scattered all over in terms of practice. Here, you're going year round. These guys are preparing. These guys are great coaches, but the competition's at that level too. And so anytime you got great competition and great coaching, guys are going to improve and really help themselves.
If you have a question for Coach Painter, please raise your hand. Let's go to the center or the right side.
Dylan Sin from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette. Coach, looking at Old Dominion, it seems like on defense especially, they try to kind of pack the lane and force you to shoot outside shots. Is that something that you're trying to tell your team not to settle for outside shots, or what's the game plan there?
Well, I just, try to get, good rhythm shots more than anything. I think to try to have like a general answer going against somebody that has had success like them. Each one of our guys is different. Obviously, if you're talking to Carson Edwards and, Ryan Klein, obviously, those guys are going to be different than maybe a couple of other of our perimeter guys. But just trying to get things in rhythm more than anything, no matter who we play, is trying to have a balance. Just not living and dying on your perimeter shooting, all the time. You got to be able to get the basketball to the rim in some capacity, whether those are drives or post-ups or offensive rebounds or getting into transition a little bit more. I think it's important for us to be able to sprinkle our threes in instead of dominating with our threes. Now, if the game kind of evolves and we're making a lot of shots, I think that can change some things. But going into it of a mindset of, doing a little bit more than the other. We really just try to let the game evolve, and then if that's happening, we try to be able to run some things to get the ball at the rim more.
We have time for one or maybe two more questions if there are any for Coach Painter. Coach, looks like no more questions. Thanks for stopping in the main interview room.
All right.
Enjoy your open practice. Good luck tomorrow.
Thanks.